$500,000 sitting in your retirement account translates to exactly $1,667 per month to live on. That is it. That is the cold, hard math. Now, before you panic, close this video and start stress. York City cost about $400. Her Metro card is $132. Health insurance supplement before Medicare kicks in is $300. Add that up, and Susan spent $3,382 before we even talk about entertainment, clothing, phone, internet, or any unexpected expenses. She has got $192 left for everything else. One dental emergency and eating chips while staring at your 401k statement. Hold on. Because what I just told you is both completely accurate and potentially totally misleading, depending on 5 critical variables that nobody ever explains properly. I am Leo, and today we're answering the one question that keeps people up at night. Can I actually retire on $500,000? Here is what makes this fascinating. That exact same $500,000 could fund a dream she is dipping into her principal. One AC repair in July, and she is eating rice and beans for 2 months. Susan is stressed. Susan is not enjoying retirement. Now meet Karen, who moves to Knoxville, Tennessee. Same $3,574 income, completely different life. She has got a nice retirement where you are sipping margaritas on a Florida beach without a financial care in the world. Or it could have you rationing ramen in a studio apartment, wondering why you ever thought leaving your job was a good idea. The difference between 2-bedroom apartment for $1,100. Utilities are $120. Groceries cost her $350. Her car payment, insurance, and gas combined run about $450. Health insurance supplement is $250. These 2 outcomes isn't luck. It is not market timing. It is understanding these 5 factors and making deliberate choices about each one. Let me break down the fundamental math first. Then we'll see how these variables completely change the equation. You've got $500,000 saved. Congratulations. That is genuine. That is $2,270 total. Karen has $1,304 left every single month for dining out, travel, hobbies, saving for a new car, building an emergency fund, spoiling the grandkids. Karen is living her best life. The difference betweenly impressive. But what does that actually translate to in monthly spending money? There is this concept called the 4 Rule, developed by financial planner William New York and Tennessee. Karen has an extra $13,000 per year compared to Susan. Over 30 years, that is almost $400,000 in extra spending money. That is nearly as much as their entire original Bengen back in 1994. The idea is straightforward. In your first year of retirement, you withdraw 4 of your total portfolio. Then, each year after that, you increase that withdrawal amount to keep nest egg. And if you really want to get aggressive about it, there is Robert. He moved to Mr. Up with inflation. Bengen tested this across every possible 30-year period in market history, including the Great Depression, the 2008 crash, every recession, and boom. Ida, Mexico, his 2-bedroom house, with a yard costs $600 per month. Utilities are $80. Groceries run $300. Transportation is $100. He has got private based on historical data. This approach was designed to make a retirement portfolio last at least 30 years without running out. It is not bulletproof, but historically, under specific conditions, it worked more often than not. Health insurance for $200. He eats out regularly for another $300. His total monthly expenses, $1,580. Robert has almost $2,000 per month in discretionary income. He is taking weekend trips to the beach. So using that 4 rule, 4 of $500,000 equals $20,000 annually. That breaks down to roughly eating at restaurants 3 times a week and still saving money every month. Now, I am not saying you should move to Mexico, maybe $1,667 per month. In theory, that is your baseline. In practice, it barely covers basics in today. You love where you are. Maybe your whole family is there, and that matters more than money. But you need to understand the trade-off you are making. Every dollar you spend on higher cost of living is a dollar you can't spend on literally anything else. Factor 3, healthcare. This is where most economy, and this is exactly where those 5 critical factors come into play. Factor 1, your Social Security benefit. Social Security isn't a single number, it is a range. And where you land in that range completely transforms your retirement reality. Let me show you 3 actual profiles. First, meet low earner Larry. Retirement plans completely fall apart. Not because people don't plan for healthcare, but because they drastically underestimate what it actually costs. If you retire at 60 before Medicare kicks in, you are buying. Larry worked retail and service jobs his whole career, averaging about $30,000 yearly. His Social Security benefit at age 67 comes to $1,400 private health insurance for 5 years. In 2025, the average premium for a 60-year-old is $950 per month. Then you've got your annual deductible of about $7,000. So in per month, add that to his $1,667 portfolio withdrawal, and Larry's total monthly income is $3,067. About $36 that first year, you are looking at $18,400 just for healthcare. Assuming you actually hit your deductible, that is nearly your entire $20,000 portfolio withdrawal, gone for $804 annually. Then there is average earner Amy, solid middle class career, consistent $60,000 annual income. Her Social Security benefit is $1,907 monthly, the national average combined with her portfolio withdrawal. Amy's pulling $3,574 monthly 5 years straight. You are looking at over $90,000 minimum before Medicare finally shows up to save you. But even at 65, when Medicare kicks in, you are not done paying. Medicare Part B costs $185 per month. Part D for prescriptions averages $50 per month. Yield or $42,888 per year. Finally, high earner Henry, software engineer, maxed out Social Security taxes most years. Averaged want either a Medigap supplement or Medicare Advantage plan. That is another $200 per month. And dental over $100,000 throughout his career. His monthly benefit is $3,200. Add his portfolio withdrawal and Henry's total monthly income hits $4,867. That is $58,404 annually. Same $500,000 in savings. 3 completely different retirement lifestyles. We're talking about a $22,000 per and vision aren't covered by Medicare. So add $100 per month for that. All in, you are looking at $535 per month, or $6,420 per year. Way better than $18,400. But still a chunk of change. Here's the scary part. Fidelity gap between Larry and Henry. That is a new car every single year. That is 3 international vacations annually. That is covering all your healthcare costs with Maniati's latest study. Says the average couple retiring at 65 will need $315,000 just for healthcare over their retirement. That is separate from your living expenses. So if you've got $500,000 and you need to left over, here is something most people don't realize. You can check your exact projected benefit right now. Go to ssa.gov, create an account, and you'll see your estimated benefits at age 62. At mentally earmark $315,000 for healthcare. You really only have $185,000 for everything else over 30 years. This is why retiring at 65 versus 60 is such a massive deal. Those 5 years save you over $90,000 in full retirement age. And at 70 takes 5 minutes. Do it today because this one number changes literally everything about your retirement planning. Factor 2, location. Where you choose to live isn't just important. It is arguably the single biggest determinant of whether healthcare costs. Let your portfolio keep growing, increase your Social Security benefit by waiting, and reduce how many years your money needs to last. Factor 4, inflation and investing. Here is something that keeps me up at night. Your expenses go up every year, but your savings on $500,000 is enough. Let me prove it with real budget breakdowns. Meet Susan. She wants to stay in New York City to be near her daughter. Noble intention, right? Here is her brutal automatically follow. Let's use real numbers. That $3,574 per month budget we talked about. With 3 average inflation, monthly reality with that $3,574 total income. She is renting a 1-bedroom in Queens because Manhattan is financially impossible, $2,400. In 10 years, You'll need $4,800 per month to buy the same stuff. In 20 years, you'll need $6,454 per month. In 30 years, $8,607 per month. Your $400 grocery bill today becomes $722 in 20 years. That $1,100 rent becomes $1,988. This is why keeping utilities run $150 groceries in NYC cost about $400 monthly. MetroCard, $132. Health insurance supplement before Medicare, $300. That is $3,382 before we even touch entertainment. Clothing, phone, internet, or all your money in a savings account. Earning one is financial suicide. You need growth to fight inflation, or you are slowly going broke while thinking you are being safe. Most financial advisors recommend keeping about unexpected expenses. Susan has $192 left for everything else each month. One dental emergency, and she is dipping into principal. One AC unit dies in July and 60 in stocks for growth, and 35 in bonds for stability when you first retire, with maybe 5 in cash for emergencies. As you get older, you shift more toward bonds. The reason is simple. From 1926 to 2023, stocks average she is eating rice and beans for 2 months. Susan is stressed. Susan is not enjoying retirement. Now meet Karen, who moves to Knoxville, Tennessee. Same $3,574 income, completely different life. Nice 2-bedroom apartment, $1,100. Utilities, $120. 10 annual returns. Bonds averaged 5, inflation averaged 3. If you are sitting in all bonds earning 5 but inflation is eating 3, you are only really gaining 2 in purchasing power. But if you are in a balanced mix getting 7 and inflation is 3, you are gaining 4 in real terms. Over 30 years, that groceries, $350, car payment, insurance, and gas combined, $450, health insurance supplement, $250, total monthly expenses, $2,270. Karen has $1,304 left every single month for dining out, travel, hobbies, saving for a new car, building an emergency fund, spoiling grandkids. Karen is absolutely living her best life. The difference between New York and Tennessee. Karen has indifference is absolutely massive. A 2 real return turns your $500,000 into almost $900,000. A 4 real return turns it into $1.6 million. But there is a risk here, and it is critical to understand. If you retire right before a market crash and start pulling money out while stocks are down, you can permanently damage your portfolio's ability to recover. This is called sequence of returns risk, and it is exactly as fun as it sounds. The solution is what they extra $13,000 per year compared to Susan. Over 30 years of retirement, that is nearly $400,000 in additional spending money, almost as much as their entire original nest egg. And if you want to get really aggressive about geographic arbitrage, there is Robert. He moved to Mérida, Mexico, 2-bedroom house with a yard, $600 monthly. Utilities, $80. Call a bucket strategy. You keep about 2 to 3 years of expenses in cash or very safe bonds. That is roughly $85,000 if you are spending. Groceries, $300, transportation, $100, private health insurance, $200, regular dining out, $300. Total monthly expenses, $1,580. Robert has almost $2,000 in discretionary income every month. He is taking weekend beach trips, eating at restaurants 3 times weekly, and still saving money $43,000 per year. If the market crashes, you are not forced to sell stocks at a loss. You just spend from your cash bucket while waiting for the market to recover. Meanwhile, that other $415,000 stays invested monthly. I am not saying everyone should move to Mexico. Maybe you love where you are. Maybe your entire family lives nearby and that matters more than money. But you need to understand the trade-off you are making. Every dollar spent on higher cost for growth. You refill your cash bucket during good market years. It is not sexy, but it works. Factor 5. Debt. This is the factor that can make or break everything else we've talked about. Let me show you 2 people with identical $500,000 savings. First, there is debt-free Diana. She owns her home outright, no car payment, no credit card debt, of living is $1 unavailable for literally anything else in your retirement. Factor 3. Healthcare costs. This is where most retirement plans completely implode. Not because people don't plan for healthcare, but because they catastrophically underestimate what it actually costs. If you retire at 60, her monthly expenses are $2,800. Her monthly income is $3,574. She has got $774 left over every month, or about $9,300 per year. Diana is comfortable. She is building an emergency fund, taking a vacation every year, sleeping well at night. Then there is debt burden Dan. He still owes $180,000 on his mortgage, at $1,400 per month. He has got before Medicare eligibility. You are buying private health insurance for 5 years. In 2025, the average premium for a 60-year-old is $950 monthly. Add your annual deductible of roughly $7,000. That first year alone, $18,400, a car payment of $350, credit card debt payment of $200, plus those same $2,800 in other expenses. His total monthly expenses are $4,750. His income is still $3,574. Dan has a deficit of $1,176 every single month. That is $14,112 per year he is pulling extra from his principal. At this rate, Dan's $500,000 is completely gone in 17 years. He'll be 82 with no savings and just Social Security to live on. Diana, meanwhile, is actually building wealth in retirement. The biggest debate in retirement planning is whether you should pay off your mortgage before retiring. Here is my take. If your mortgage rate is under 4 just for healthcare, if you actually hit that deductible, that is nearly your entire $20,000 portfolio withdrawal consumed by medical costs. For 5 straight years, you are looking at over $90,000 minimum before Medicare finally arrives to rescue you. But even at 65, when you could mathematically make more by keeping it and investing, but the peace of mind of no mortgage payment is worth a lot. With no mortgage, you need less income, which means less withdrawn from your portfolio, which means it lasts longer. Plus, if something goes wrong, health, emergency, market crash, whatever, you are not stressed about losing your home. So when Medicare kicks in, you are not done paying. Medicare Part B costs $185 monthly. Part D for prescriptions averages $50 monthly. You'll want either a Medigap supplement or Medicare Advantage plan, another $200 monthly, and dental and vision aren't covered by Medicare. So add $100 monthly for that, all in $535 monthly or $6,420 annually. Way better than $18,400, but still substantial. Here is the tear you retire on $500,000. If you are debt-free, willing to be strategic about location, can manage healthcare costs, and have decent Social Security benefits. Yes, absolutely. If you are carrying debt, locked into an expensive location, retiring before 65, and have low Social Security benefits. Probably not without major changes, but here's the thing. Most people aren't failing retirement because they didn't save enough. They're failing because they didn't plan specifically enough. The median retirement savings for Americans aged 65 to 74 is $200,000. Defying Part Fidelity's latest research says the average couple retiring at 65 will need $315,000 just for healthcare over their retirement. That is separate from living expenses. So if you've got $500,000 and need to mentally earmark $315,000 for healthcare, you really only have $185,000 for everything else over 30 years. This is why retiring at 65 versus 60 is such a massive financial decision. Those 5 years save you over $90,000 in healthcare costs of 2022. If you've got $500,000, you are already ahead of 60 of Americans. The question isn't whether it is enough in some abstract sense. It is whether it is enough for the specific retirement you want to live. Your retirement isn't determined by one number in your 401k. It is determined by the decisions you make about those 5 critical factors. Someone out there is living their dream retirement on $500,000, and someone else with $2 million is stressed and unhappy because they didn't plan properly. Let your portfolio continue growing. Increase your Social Security benefit by waiting, and reduce how many years your money needs to last. Factor 4. Inflation and investment strategy. Here is what keeps me awake at night. Your expenses climb every year, but your savings don't automatically keep pace. Let's use concrete numbers. That $3,574 monthly budget we discussed, with 3 average annual inflation. In 10 years, you'll need $4,800. The money is just the tool. Your plan is everything. If this video gave you clarity on your retirement number, smash that like button. If you realize you need to make some changes, drop a comment and tell me which of the 5 factors you are going to optimize first. Subscribe if you want more straight talk about money without the BS. And remember, it is not about having the most money in retirement. It is about having enough money to live the life you actually want. I am not a financial advisor, mortgage expert, or licensed financial professional. The content on this channel represents personal opinions only and is intended for educational and entertainment purposes. Please conduct your own research and seek professional guidance before making any major financial decisions. See you next time.